Hey kids, are you planning on doing an event this year? YouCanEvents.com. YouCanEvent.com is the first place you want to go when organizing your conference or event. With YouCanEvent.com, attract sponsors within 4 days and watch your ticket sales take off by having your event showcased in virtual reality. Virtual reality. It's real. It's virtual. It's a reality. Available on your iPhone, laptop, or tablet. Share the vision of your event, and at the same time, you can get the best price for your venue rentals, furniture, catering, vendors, entertainers, and everything else that you need for your event. Clowns. No, not clowns. YouCanEvents.com. The first place you want to go when organizing your event or conference. All right, let's get to the show. Hey kids, Dean with Crypto the Wonder Dog. So we're here in Southern California. We have been having a crazy heat wave. Crazy heat wave. Laying in bed at night, and I'm sure you guys want to hear this, just waking up and your head's just pouring sweat, and it's, I don't get it, man. Not supposed to be this hot, this close to the beach. I live just a few blocks from the beach here, and it's usually really nice, you know. Something that crypto can't buy is a nice, cool day in the summertime here in sunny Southern California, Orange County. So I had a talk with a guy today, and I saw him on LinkedIn, and very vocal guy, very passionate about the space and very committed to, I would say, the Elliot Ness of crypto here. John Gaddis, who is obviously not coming up on that. Let's see. There he is, John Gaddis. Found him on LinkedIn. You'll find his links below. He is very passionate about this, keeping draining the swamp, as they say, and I think he's created a few things. Bitcoin Latina Foundation, and it's a very fascinating company here. I wouldn't dare go. I wouldn't dare try to create an argument with this guy. He's obviously a hell of a lot smarter than I am when it comes to crypto and Bitcoin and the ins and outs and the intricacy of all this stuff. But he has spent a lot of time and a lot of money learning the rights and wrongs and the hows and twos and whys and whats of regulations, ICOs, what's a cryptocurrency, what is a token, a utility. Apparently there is no such thing. And a commodity and a security is apparently the two that he believes are what run this world of crypto. Anything that's being said here today is purely opinion based. I need to preference that. John says a few times it's his opinion. He's not giving out the gospel here according to John. Little John the Baptist type of a guy, but he's a really cool guy. I enjoyed the talk. I think we had one of our longest talks I've ever had on the show, almost an hour and a half. So if you're going somewhere and you got a little time to drive, or if you're just hanging out listening to this, go make yourself a drink, tall drink, and kick back and enjoy this show. He doesn't pull any punches, man. He tells it like it is. He's a straight shooter. He will tell you definitely how he feels about you. I don't want to get on his bad side. He seems like a really cool guy. I'd like to have a beer with him one day. Check him out on LinkedIn. John Gaddis, G-O-T-T-S, or Gotts. I keep saying Gotts. John Gotts. And John Gotts lots to say. He really passionate, like I said, really passionate about this. Got a couple of things going on. So if you go to his LinkedIn page, hang out with him, talk with him. You may or may not get him on the horn, but if you do, it won't be a boring chat. I tell you that right now. It will be something that you will enjoy immensely, and you'll get a lot of value out of what he has got to say. And I'm going to rewind this myself and listen to it a few times, because I have a hard time grasping things the first time around, and then maybe it's my dyslexia or it's the short attention span that I do have. And I don't know if you work in some kind of entertainment, or if you work on something as a host, and sometimes you get caught up in your own head, and you're infatuated with the fact that you're actually talking to somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about, and you lose sight of the conversation, and you're going over in your head. So that's kind of what a few times happened with me. I was just fascinated with the fact that I'm talking with this guy that just go on and on, and I could just start throwing facts out there on Reg D and A and F and all the numbers that were involved with those regs that I would never be able to just quote. And he's spent, like I said, he spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and he kind of explains that on the people that he's talked to, has a opinion on who he thinks the founder of Bitcoin is. Satoshi Nakamoto, I believe I'm saying that right. So, Natoshi's, what, I don't know. Anyway, here's the talk with John Gotts, founder and chairman of the Latina, or the Bitcoin Latina Foundation. Here we go. You guys ready to start? Let's try that again. You guys ready to start the show? All right, let's start the show. Yeah, I get that stuff at the dollar store.
I've got one can of Red Bull, and it's to sit on my desk. My wife calls it cancer in a can.
It is.
And it's to remind me not to do that ever again.
Yeah, did you get hooked on that stuff? Were you like hooked on?
I was hooked for the last 15 years.
Oh my God.
I was drinking 2 or 3 a day.
Were you?
Sometimes 6 or 8.
Wow. What'd that do to your sleeping habits?
My wife said I twitched all night.
I
she
bet.
Couldn't stand it. Yeah. Yeah. And people would talk to me and they're like, he's on cocaine. It's like, no, I'm on liquid cocaine. It's called Red Bull. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was in Miami and Fort Lauderdale in the mid 80s, and I saw all that craziness, but that is 30 years ago, man.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
history. Yeah.
So I looked at some of your stuff. You look like you're
51 now. So,
50. Oh, right now we're the
kid.
same age. Okay. All right. So you look like you're an outdoors kind of guy. You're always doing stuff, moving around.
Hey.
Oh crap.
Yeah, I have a wife that has a farm. And by the way, you're not centered on your screen. You're way off, so I'm seeing half of your face.
Are you? Shoot.
And what I'm getting a full shot of is the stand and the mic.
Okay, let me see here.
And I can read. Yeah.
Let me look at me. Okay.
Yep. You're still you're to the left of your screen, but you're to the right of mine. And if you move over another 6 inches, you'll be centered.
Well, I don't usually center myself because
you're right.
I do I do kind of like the 3/4 thing because I got my dog.
Got it, because you put stuff up in your screen. I got you.
See the dog?
Understand. I'm good.
That's crypto. That's crypto right there.
No, you can't see the dog.
Oh, you can't
see the dog.
Oh, you know what? It's because of Skype. On my recording. I don't know why that is. What's I see.
It's a square instead of full screen.
Yes, I got it. Yeah, that's because of Skype. That's silly Skype. Okay, I got it. Let's get rid of me. I'm gonna get rid of me.
So just so you know, I am the #1 world expert on compliant crypto for securities and commodities. I have taught and worked with the top law firms in this country. My partner and lawyer is a retired SEC commissioner, and his other clients are, you know, the New York Stock Exchange. He's part owner of liquidnet.com, which is the largest dark pool with 16 trillion. I'm not saying I have access to that kind of capital. I'm saying the people I work with are the best in the space. And for the last 4 years, over 20,000 hours it took to write Zen and the Art of Compliant Coin Maintenance. But I have been saying everything's a security and a commodity, and there is no new asset class. There is no utility coin. It's a security or commodity.
Security or commodity.
How to raise money. And I can teach people how to create legal cryptocurrency, and I can teach people how to create a security on this program if you'd like. And it is the gospel. It is the gospel.
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
And I am a whistleblower for the SEC in some of their top cases right now. I work with the DOJ and the FBI and the SEC as a whistleblower.
Wow.
And that's why I busted David Drake. Yeah. And look at him all of a sudden removing all of his locations on his website, like abandoned, circled with fences. So I don't go after somebody unless I'm pretty darn certain they're evil. And then I take them down with a samurai cut across their head.
Wow. All right. So you are, you're the...
But if I am the world's foremost expert on compliant coins, commodities and securities, and there's nothing else. This full idea of utility coins is horseshit. So I'm happy to say, yeah. My lawyer Roel this morning, because I was keeping him informed of what's going on with David in case there's a class action that he might be able to run. And he said, "You're the righteous Moses throwing the tablets at the golden calf. You're nothing if not indignantly righteous and very brave." Yeah, you bet. When you're right and you're honest, you can be that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take me back here a little bit.
Whatever you want. You tell me what you and tell me when we're starting.
Oh, we're going, man. We're live. We're recording. I don't do like a formal introduction because I do that in the pre-roll. And we just start talking like buddies, and then just let it evolve naturally, and just that way there's no like weird, formal, awkward beginning thing. So yeah, we just kind of start. Then I just ask you the question of where you been, what do you do? So let's go back to the beginning. Let's tell me what sparked your interest in either blockchain or crypto, or what was the beginning for you?
Right. So the beginning for me, probably you have to go back to when I was 7 years old and walked across the street in a snowstorm and started shoveling the Mr. and Mrs. Coon's, sidewalk and driveway and made $5, and I was hooked. I was an entrepreneur.
Making money.
And I dropped out. Yeah, well, not making money. Anybody can go get a job and make money.
All right.
It's owning the business.
Okay.
It's running it. It's being the business, right? So I was hooked. And I don't know that you can learn entrepreneurism. I think you're born an entrepreneur.
It's something inside, right?
And by that,
yeah.
Well, you've got to have a delusion about you that you can accomplish things. And if you don't think that you can, then, and sometimes it is delusional. 85% of startups fail. But if you don't have that burning passion and you're not afraid of failure, if you're afraid of failure, you're not an entrepreneur. You have to be able to fail. Again and again and again and again and again and again.
I must be an entrepreneur because I fail again and again and again.
Then you're an awesome entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Well, there's that story of the Bisbee gold miner who he pioneered the area in Bisbee, Arizona, and he mined for years. And
I know that area.
He stopped and he sold his claims, and the guy went 1 inch further and found the biggest silver mine in history. You can't stop an inch before the silver mine.
Don't stop.
You have to keep going.
Yeah, you do.
So that's it. I started blockchain. I'll just fast forward to blockchain.
Okay.
When I was involved with crowdfunding, and I helped the people at Bella Beat and at Print Camera Case and at Solar Roadways, and they raised millions of dollars. Not a big deal in this market, but at the time, only 80 of 80,000 Kickstarter projects had ever done $1 million. So for all three of ours to have done that and almost make up 4% of the total market, not bad. I saw blockchain for the first time. I read Nick Szabo's papers about smart contracts. Yeah. And I believe Nick is Satoshi. He was one of my advisors. And, I was blown away. And I realized that and this is before the Jobs Act, that at very least you could have Reg D offerings traded amongst accredited investors using the blockchain smart contract, eliminating lawyers and banks and notaries. So that was my start into blockchain. I took that further about 20,000 hours later. I'm certain that I'm the foremost expert in the world on this. I have worked with Perkins Coie and MME Group, who've done everything illegal from Bancor to, back to Mastercoin. In my opinion, they're illegal. I sat with the T0 office and listened to them try and figure out stuff. And right now it seems like they're in a lot of trouble for the actions they're doing. Okay, bad stuff. I worked with Jacob Farber at Perkins Coie, and then over at Paul Hastings, I worked with Dina, who wrote a lot of the Jobs Act, specifically Regulation A+, Title IV, Tier 2, and peer-to-peer trading of digital assets.
Yeah.
Now I work with Hughes, Hubbard, and Reed, and their team is all retired U.S. DOJ, CFTC, and SEC attorneys. And my personal attorney there is a retired SEC commissioner under Bush. These guys all litmus test me, and they did again and again and again. Everywhere I went, I learned. I started the first self-regulating body ever with the founders of the biggest coins that I met in New York last May, a year ago, until I realized that there's no need for a self-regulating body. It's already covered by everything. It's covered by the SEC and CFTC, except background checks on issuers and marketers and promoters of commodity coins. And they just need to put the Reg A plus background checks for anti-fraud and securities violations and that onto that, and then there would be no hole. So that's where we are today.
Huh. Okay, so you said Bancor. Now I know that's one of the topics I'm going to be talking about today. We have a new segment called Block Bites. It's like the top headline news. And so, tell me about Bancor. What's going on there?
Well, I think that Bancor was an illegal ICO for a platform that does illegal ICOs.
A platform for illegal ICOs. Okay.
Sure. Sure, and they did an illegal ICO. They sold to U.S. investors, and then they let their coin trade on exchanges as an unregistered security.
Wow.
So even if they blocked people in the United States, once those coins were out on exchanges, those are unregistered securities that you must have governance for. You have to know who owns them, and there has to be KYC AML.
Yes.
And they're not. So anyone who bought Bancor on an exchange, even after the ICO, is participating in an unregistered illegal security, in my opinion. And I will say this, everything I'm saying today is an opinion, so I can't be sued because I have a right to an opinion.
Yeah, of course, everybody's got a right to an opinion.
Yeah, Bancor, as far as I can see, is just, my opinion, is they're broken to the core. I understand that they gave away a great deal of their money that they raised to founders and advisors of all that cash. Tim Draper specifically, I believe that Tim did a pump and dump, and they wrote a story about it on Cointelegraph, and then they backtracked and let him back out of it. My understanding, and it's just what I heard, was that he put in $6 million and took out $12 million after they had said, you can basically invest with Tim Draper. And all these people rushed in, but he had his in the pre.
Oh.
And my understanding is he sold into the ICO. Well, his comments were, well, I still am earning all my advisor coins just like everybody else. Okay, fuckbag, we didn't ask you about that. We asked you about what did you put into and what did you take out, and when did you do that, you little lying piece of shit. So I'm not a fan of his at all. I think that he is ruining this space.
Wow.
And he works with all of these guys that are deeply investigated right now by the SEC, DOJ, and FBI, to which I'm a whistleblower.
Wow. Okay, so then you saw that there was a breach in there.
Bancor's, yeah, I think Bancor's a problem, and that $12 million, I think it's interesting that they weren't able to steal their worthless, in my opinion, tokens, but they got all that ether. I guess they didn't get enough for the founders and the advisors there, and in my opinion, it's probably an inside job. I trust those guys zero.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of the stories that we're going to be covering today. So thanks for the insight on that one. That's great information. So are you actively just going around and looking for guys that you feel are contaminating the space and trying to clean it up for the people that like when I got into it and I got taken a bunch of times by guys that were doing the pump and dump, and that's kind of why I started this whole podcast, was to get rid of that kind of crap and to kind of weed through the BS and get to real stories and find out what's really going on.
Mm-hmm. No, the problem is that I don't lie, and so I trust everyone. I'm one of those fools. But I have a rule that I'll trust anyone implicitly until they lie to me once, and then I'll never talk to them again.
Yeah.
And if they really took a lot of my time and they're dirty, I'll whistleblow on them and I'll take them down to Chinatown. Okay. And so, for instance, this David Drake character, I put something up about what his operations were, and look, all of a sudden we have hundreds of comments, almost 15,000 views in 24 hours, and people are filling my inbox that it might even be him stealing the identity or the background of a real David Drake, who's 65 approximately. On all of the properties they listed on their page, they have removed them now because some of them are like fenced lots with nothing on them, or their New York office was a rent-a-desk space. You know, this is what I'm being told. Again, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
I got to look into it. But absolutely, they're going next to the FCC, FBI, and DOJ from me. And what they did wrong with me was I was raising some funds. I reached out to David Drake because supposedly he has $1.6 trillion in connections in family offices or whatever. And he wrote back and said I had to first talk to some of his partners and work with them so that he could trust me. Yeah. And then I get this email from one of his partners saying I can choose any of these 12 partners, and if I pay them, that's their litmus test for whether I'm real or not. Because if I can't afford to work with them, I'm not a real company. And I call up my lawyer and I say, sorry I even mentioned them, Roel. They're full of shit. Okay? And so then I get a call from one of them, some guy named Marcus, who's like, listen, John, you've got this ICO on-ramp, and this is how it works. We will give you customers that all of our affiliates will bring to you, and if you're the one they choose, you get 40%, the person who referred gets 10%, and David gets 50%, but hey, he's David. Okay? And I said, well, that's complete horseshit. Is this your due diligence, really? What about pro forma? What about team? If they don't have pro forma, maybe they're advanced enough to have a P&L. What about their cap table? Did they, file the correct things? Where are they domiciled? What's the competition? What's their demonstrable advantage? None of that matters. Then you're full of shit. If your litmus test for whether a company is a good company is whether they can give one of your partners money and David can get half of it, that is a scheme. That is a scam, in my opinion. That is not real.
Doesn't sound
so again,
real, no.
You ask, how do I find these guys? This is the most toxic space I've ever worked in my life. It's hard to find an honest man in this space. You have to carry a lamp in daylight, as they say. And even then. So what I do is I'll work with people, but if they wasted my time and they're a scammer, before I leave, I'm going to burn them to the ground.
Wow. Okay. Holy cow, man.
I don't have time for this. The most valuable thing that we have in life is time.
Yeah, you're not going to get it back.
No matter how much we invest, we will never get more time.
No.
So I don't have time for my wife right now. I don't have time for her for an hour a day because I'm so busy right now. So if someone's going to take time that could have gone to my wife, I'm an angry man.
Yeah. Yeah. You mess my time, you mess my money, you mess with my emotions.
Well, I'm always angry. That's emotional.
Okay. With the ICOs and stuff, what do you look out for whenever you're obviously we can't participate in ICOs because we're Americans or whatever, but what are you looking for?
That's not true. No, that's not true.
It's not true. Okay, so educate me. Give me some knowledge here, man.
Okay, so what I'm going to tell you cost me over $500,000 in legal fees and 4 years, 20,000 hours of my life working 18-hour days, nearly 7 days a week.
Wow.
To research this before I ever pulled a trigger. I wanted to make sure I was right.
Yeah.
So let me define it really clearly.
Okay.
There are securities, and they are covered in the United States by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Yeah.
If you are a broker-dealer selling and putting and getting success fees, that's FINRA. If you're doing money transfer, it's FinCEN. And if it's a commodity, it's CFTC. All of this is already covered. There is no such thing as a utility coin that is a new asset class. And if you want to be that is as red a flag to the SEC in those as being in Singapore or being in Switzerland, which happen to literally be red flag states. Well, it is a red flag to the SEC if you start saying, I'm a utility coin. The SEC is just not very smart, you know? No. It is either a security or commodity, and there is zero gray area. Why? And I'll let you answer this. Why would that be bad? I mean, everyone's trying to obfuscate. Everyone's trying to get around what I just said.
Yeah.
Why would that be bad? Unless you don't really have a business. You don't really have a legitimate company, and no legitimate investor would ever invest in you. Then you go for the suckers.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, there you go.
That's the problem. And so you say, oh, it's a utility coin, and you'll get 100% X return in a month, and you'll get a Lambo and a trip to the moon.
I want to shoot those people.
That's all. It's a scam.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: you want to start a business, call yourself a business. You want to raise from U.S. investors, domicile in the U.S. Okay, domicile in Delaware. Why Delaware? Because it has the strongest investor protection. Now, I told my idea to a group called Polymath, and who knows if they stole my idea, but all of a sudden their white paper looked really similar to my idea, which was if you KYC everybody on the globe, then you can hold them to the rules and regulations of their place of domicile. But guess what? That's really saying is, and so I backed away from that idea, that we will protect some investors less if they don't live in a country with tremendous people like the SEC to look out for them. If you're in Bolivia, I don't know that they are going to protect you, or Croatia or somewhere. So why not, instead of protecting some people less, why not protect everybody? So by treaty, if you hold someone to the highest standard, you are already compliant globally.
Of course.
Just because you went beyond what their country says didn't make it illegal, right? Is that logical?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do a securities offering in the United States through the SEC, and you do either a Reg A plus if you want to sell to the public, and I can get into that, or you do a Reg D if you want to promote it, but then filter to only accredited investors, or you do a private placement. Now, let's talk about security private placements and Reg Ds. Those things have only been happening for 40 years.
Yeah.
There's no zebra there, man. It's a horse.
Yeah.
So if you want to start a company, don't call yourself a foundation and put yourself in another domicile that doesn't protect U.S. investors and then try and sell to U.S. investors or let them trade illegally afterwards on an exchange as an unregistered security. What you do is you go and you either get that money and run operations. Howie says if there's an investment from a group of people with a common enterprise that is looking for someone else to build this for a profit, that's a security. Okay, that's every business.
Yeah.
Every business. Great. So why obfuscate? Be proud of that.
Yes.
You can now hire people, you can market, you can advertise and all that.
Yeah, because they can't advertise. Yeah.
You can't. Well, you can't spend operational capital on from a fundraising to the public without being a security. Full stop. Now, maybe you had a legitimate commodity coin like Dash. It was started, as I think a legitimate commodity. It was mined, etc.
Yeah.
Now it's questionable because they pay a master node. Well, if you're holding this coin and are guaranteed a monthly payment of some amount, that is a dividend.
Yes.
Now you're quacking like a duck. Now you just became a duck. Okay. So if you want to stay a commodity, don't spend the money on operations and don't pay dividends and don't do things that make you a security. So what can you do with a security? Well, if it's a Reg D security, you can trade it after a year with other accredited investors on a digital exchange.
After a year?
100% legal. Sure, yeah, there's a restriction on Reg Ds. Okay. Now, there's a way that might get you around that if you did a convertible note. As a Reg D, you did a convertible note and then rolled that into a Reg A+. And then they could convert when the Reg A+, if the Reg A+ is approved. I'm not sure about that, but that's my presumption.
Okay.
Now, what is Reg A+? The Jobs Act created Reg A Plus Title IV Tier 2 specifically so that entrepreneurs could raise money from the public after there's audit, after there's a due diligence period by the SEC on all of the founders and principals to make sure there's no securities violations or fraud in their background. That could be dangerous. But they cannot turn you down based on how long you've been in business or whether your business model seems practical, unless you're trying to make invisible cloaks. That, you know what I mean? Like if it's just obviously not going to happen.
Yeah.
And who's to say it can't? If you could demonstrate it, maybe you could even get that for an invisible cloak machine. So what you do then is you say, how much can I raise as Reg A Plus? Well, if you're 2 seconds to 2 years old, you can raise up to 20 million in the U.S. And doing a Reg F, a foreign raise, you could raise that much concurrently outside the U.S. So up to 40 million if you're 2 seconds old.
Say that over again. Say that over again from the time you're Reg A. Go ahead.
So Regulation A Plus, Title IV, Tier 2, allows for the public to purchase up to $20 million in the U.S. from the entrepreneur or the venture. If you're over 2 years old, you can raise up to $50 million. And this is annually from U.S. investors. And there's a foreign regulation, Regulation F, that allows you to raise from people outside of the United States, but with the same protection level as those in the U.S., even if you live somewhere that doesn't have those protections.
Huh. Okay. All right. Well, I like the way you break that down. That's good.
How long does it take to do this? Well, who knows? You know, if you've got your stuff buttoned down and you've got your audit done and all your due diligence was ready to go, and especially the newer the company is, they probably don't have audited financials. So there is nothing to audit, okay, for instance. So as long as the people behind it are clean and not scammers and are willing to be jailably responsible for their actions, we know where you live. It's not anonymous, okay? If you're willing to do that, then you can raise in the United States, and you're going to have to follow, again, rules. You can't market that you can get Lambos and trips to the moon.
Yeah.
You have to tell people there's unbelievable risk. 75% of all startups fail no matter how well funded and the team is. 75%.
Yeah.
In crypto, it's worse. Could be 99%. So if you don't explain to people, and that's not the only risk. You mentioned Bancor. Maybe they ripped off themselves. We'll never know. Maybe we'll know. Maybe we'll never know. But the fact is, you can lose your money on an exchange like Mt. Gox. You can lose because you got scammed or just weren't educated on something. The company, the foundation, whatever they want to call it, could be bullshit.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're going to lose. But if you don't explain risk to your buyers, and if you're not really careful that you're not overhyping, you know, I got conned into backing the Arise Bank guys after they got raided by the FBI in that. They told me it was all horseshit. I gave them money. I brought my lawyer into it. We looked into it. The guy was, in my opinion, a complete scumbag and scam. I had to pay my attorney for his time. We backed away from it with a bruised reputation on my part. What did he do wrong? He said he owned an FDIC-insured bank or bought one, and he made other claims that he had Visa or MasterCard or someone as a partner, and he made these claims that were fraud.
Wow.
So, again, you have to follow the rules on how you can market, when you can market, what you can say. So let's take you through it.
Okay.
Here's how I would tell any entrepreneur that's broke, that needs money for their thing, to do it this way. And what I'm going to give you right now is hundreds of thousands of dollars in information that you'd have to pay a top law firm.
Wow.
Okay. And I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
And I'm not an advisor.
Yeah.
This is what I've learned, and this is my opinion.
Okay.
You go to accredited investors only, whether you have to go to an angel list or call friends or get on LinkedIn, which is a great resource for finding accredited investors.
Yeah.
And you have a pro forma if you're brand new, or a P&L. It should have your staff when they're coming on, your salaries, 28% for taxes and benefits. Then you see the real nut. You go to the second page, you see monthly and 1 year annual. So you see the burn rate of your employees. You go to the third page of your deck, you've got your general and administrative and your development costs now from those pages. And then below it, you put in your operational costs, including fixed and variable and one-time costs. And now you know your operational cost for the first year, monthly, all the way across, and annual. And then up above, you have to have your gross revenue, your cost of revenue, and your net. And then you match that up against operations to see your profit or loss. Now, I'm not making this up. This is how they do it for 50 years in this space.
Yes.
Okay? Instead of saying trip to the moon, they actually showed potential. Then you've got your fourth page, which is going to be your actual 3 to 5 year projection of revenue and gain or loss. But first, you need a cap table that says who's getting how much, who has it now, how much did they get up front, did they correctly file their 83B in Delaware when they incorporated, before there was value, so that they don't have tax overhang, etc. And then you can see month by month for the next 4 years how much equity is going to be in the market projected to be. And then you can finish your page 4 of that slide, back up one now, that says what is the revenue per share and what is the expenses per share and what is the profit or loss per share. And then if you're extrapolating that into the expected growth rate, you can then put that up against a fair value PE ratio from Graham's Dodd's days, who Berkshire Hathaway and Peter Lynch and those guys follow, which is to say that if the P divided by the E, the price of the equity divided per share, is equal, or divided by the earnings, is equal to the growth rate. So if it's $10 per coin, if it's 10 divided by 1, $10 by the earnings, if the growth rate is 10% annually, that's fair value. If the growth rate is 20, it's half undervalued. And that's been the way people have judged fair value forever. If you've got that locked down, you can go to an accredited investor. You're going to have more than a white paper, okay, and a pretty deck and a flashy website. But if you actually got that, you can now go and you can privately solicit accredited investors or even friends and family that'll slip through that. Or you can do a public offering of that called a Regulation D offering that, again, is restricted in what you can say about it. You can't put up information about it, for instance, until you show that they're accredited. And then when you know they're accredited, you can share details with them and you can negotiate with them and you can take money. So what did you just do? You just started your crypto business. You just got legitimate funding for your crypto business, and the SEC will be just fine with what you did as long as you didn't lie. Okay? Now, get immediately the best lawyer you can. I believe Hughes, Hubbard & Reed is the best law firm in this space, and I believe my lawyer, Roel Campos, is the best lawyer in the space, having been a retired SEC commissioner.
Wow.
They don't take bozos. You better be buttoned down when you get there, okay? And, I mean, they have, like, the New York Stock Exchange as a client, MasterCard, these
really
kinds of things, okay? They don't take crypto.
Wow.
Unless your crypto is Ripple. I think Ripple might have been a client of theirs once for a bit. I don't know that for sure. But you've got to be buttoned down. But if you are, and you get a law firm like that to represent you to the SEC, you can now file Regulation A+ Title 4 Tier 2 immediately with the funds from the Reg D or the private placement to accredited investors.
Yeah.
So, you say you don't have $150,000 to pay the law firm and pay for the filing fees and get ready for it and everything like that. Well, then go raise it from accredited investors. Now, you do have the money. It's a bunny hop. It's a stone skip.
Yeah.
Okay? So you do the Reg D first, then you apply for the Reg A+. Now, how long is that going to take? Depends how you got your shit together or not. If you have your shit together, I don't know still. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's 3. But they could literally ask you to come back every week for eternity if they wanted.
Oh, wow.
So there's no guarantee you're going to get approved. No. But if you're outside the U.S., you can't be. You have to be in the U.S. And don't go to Wyoming because they said that they know better than the federal government, rather, that there is really something called a utility token. Sorry, guys in Wyoming, you're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. You're out of your depth, and you've been conned by people. Okay?
Oh, wow.
So in Nevada, no crypto taxes statewide. Okay, yeah, but what did you just do is you just set off a red flag for the SEC to slow down your process because you didn't go to a state like Delaware to protect your investors. You went somewhere to obfuscate around their laws. So again, stick to the rules. Don't obfuscate and think there's anything other than a security here. Now, once you get that approved, you can file with Edgar's online, and you can, for the next 30 days after approval by the SEC, do something called testing the water, where you can now do a coin offering and take reservations and marketing correctly, legally, for 30 days, and then it's hit by the SEC, and boom, you can now take their money, and now you just did a public offering of equity in a coin form to the public, not only in the United States, but with a Reg F globally. And it can now trade on a peer-to-peer exchange so long as there is not broker-dealers, or there are no broker-dealers, rather, or market makers. You can't charge. If it's a free peer-to-peer exchange run entirely by software, then those coins can trade on that legally without having to file with the SEC, in my understanding and opinion, or with FINRA, or with CFTC. You will have to do FinCEN because you're money transferring. Okay, you're a money transfer agent now.
Oh, wow.
So the fact is, I just told you and just saved your readers or listeners, rather, I just saved your listeners hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawyer fees and potentially something more valuable, their time.
Yeah.
And that's it. And ask me some questions, and then I'll tell you about legal commodities.
Well, that was amazing. I mean, I for you to retain that, I mean, that's my God. I mean, you sound like a really.
It's kung fu.
Yeah.
It's compliance kung fu. But if you read my last article at LinkedIn, Zen and the Art of Compliant Coin Maintenance.
Okay.
You know, a little takeoff on Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance for us old folks that would understand that.
Yeah. Well, I'm hearing on your LinkedIn page. Is it on here?
Yeah, if you go to my articles and go to the last article.
See articles. Okay.
That's it.
Compliant coin receipt written with the help of retired SEC commissioner. Beautiful. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
All right. Well, we got that in the show notes. People can check that out.
Guys, that cost me $500,000 to write. It took 20,000 hours of my time. And if you read the first 2 pages, it tells you I worked with almost all of the original founders of almost all the top 10, 20 coins out there in the market, especially from a year and a half ago. And I started the first self-regulating body, like I said, until I realized it was unnecessary. I have worked with the top law firms. I have paid $500,000 and 20,000 hours of my precious time to write that. That is the legal reason for being able to do a commodity and a security as a token or as a coin.
Yeah.
You can do it, but it says don't try this at home. Because you better know about national markets and alternative trading system markets and peer-to-peer markets, and you better know that you cannot charge a broker-dealer fee in the United States without being a registered agent of a broker for 2 years, having been sponsored by them first and passing a Series 63 and 79.
Oh, my God.
And even then, you better know what you can and can't say. But in Europe, there's no such law. But in Europe, you have to be almost like a certified financial analyst in order to become a venture capital firm. But in the United States, probably set up so that stupid stone kids like Tim Draper's son can take over the business without having to actually know anything. You don't have to have any training in venture capital to start your own venture firm in the United States.
Yeah.
And I say this because if you don't know all the rules globally, you are going to get fucked. So what I say is, this is compliance kung fu. Don't try this at home. Read that, and then go hire an amazing lawyer like Roel Campos or someone at Hughes, Hubbard & Reed.
Yeah.
Don't try this at home. It's not that easy.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't sound easy. I mean, for you to even just whip this off the top of your head without reading a teleprompter, just shows your passion and your dedication to this.
20,000 hours arguing with lawyers. And just so you know, I took this to Hughes, Hubbard & Reed, and they studied this for 6 weeks with retired U.S. attorneys, DOJ attorneys, SEC attorneys.
Yeah.
And they came back to me and were like, John, you're right, but we're not putting our name on that because we're going to get sued if somebody tries to do it and doesn't know all the intricacies that you do.
Oof. Well,
so I said, all right, I'll write it, but I'll put up a 2-page disclaimer not to try this at home.
Oh, okay. So who's going to be doing this? Who's going to be the guys that are going to take that and run with it?
I think that anybody who calls themselves a crypto advisor, and before that they were Kickstarter advisors, like those idiots at Blonde 2.0 and people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these people don't know what the hell they're doing. They didn't know how to do crowdfunding very well at Kickstarter, and now suddenly they're ICO experts. Danger Will Robinson. No fucking way. Okay? They're going to be wearing orange, the people that follow that trumpet. Okay? Seriously. So what I'm saying is, before you hear from your lawyers like Perkins Coie told me, it's a gray area, you know, and the reward goes to the risk taker. Sorry, Jacob Farber, you're probably going to lose your license.
Wow.
Okay? But what I will tell you is that it's a good start.
Yeah.
If you read that and take it to heart, you'll understand there is a path forward, but it's not setting up some stupid foundation in Switzerland and saying that you're not a company. That is called obfuscation, and you are lying to yourself. So the start is read that and understand that. But let me also tell you that you can do a legal cryptocurrency, a commodity, a coupon, whatever. Yeah. And here's how that works. Okay. Jay Clayton, Chairman Clayton, said on CNBC about 2 months ago that if it is a replacement for fiat currencies such as the dollar, the yuan, the Deutschmark, actually the euro, takes me my age again. If you are going to replace that, right, you are not a security. You're a commodity. If you're giving it out as a currency. And so, for instance, right now at bitcoinlatina.org, I have 70 people, volunteers. They're translating into 14 languages. They're ambassadors in different countries to push bounty hunters and those to find buyers for the coins. They are web developers. They are everyone under the sun. They're moderators and social media creators, and they're writers and editors. And I've got all the people in the world working with me as volunteers, and we haven't started marketing it yet. I believe that we'll go to 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 volunteers. How can I afford that? Right now, I've got, a group that is putting in, some of them, 10 hours a day. Well, I pay them with Bitcoin Latina cryptocurrency from the treasury of Bitcoin Latina, the for-profit company, and I pay them in a cryptocurrency that may or may not ever find a buyer, and they're aware of that.
Okay.
But if I pay you in fiat currency, is that a security? No. Or else we'd own every company we work for. It's not equity. It's not a security. It's not a dividend. It was put forth by my effort. My effort, in return for that effort, I took fiat currency, US dollars.
Yeah.
Not a security. I don't own any of that company. It wasn't a dividend. I worked for it. Then great. If I gave them oranges for pay to work in my orange grove, it's not a security. And if they can find buyer for their oranges, that's how they get paid.
That's a commodity.
It's a commodity.
Yeah.
So what we did at Bitcoin Latina was we're doing a for-profit business, doing an equity raise to run operations, and we're giving out of the treasury to volunteers that are building this up so that ultimately we can give it out to students in Latin America to take our blockchain courses and learn how to build decentralized applications on top of our EOS hard fork blockchain, then making that a more valuable utility. And this coin represents not necessarily the blockchain. We may never build one. It's the community value. It's the movement value. Okay? Let me extrapolate. Satoshi Nakamoto, aka I think Nick Szabo. Handwriting experts in New York compared every writing out there to his and Satoshi's, and it's Nick Szabo in their opinion, and I totally agree. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that. I actually heard that yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. What did Nick create, in my opinion, Nick? Well, he created a way for volunteers to earn coins. Well, you mean miners, right? Well, yeah, miner's another kind of volunteer. How do you figure that? Well, a miner is using hardware and software and electricity and an internet connection and time and expertise. That's what they're spending to get a prize, a potential prize of a Bitcoin. It's a prize. It's a payment for their work.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you look at what I'm doing when I get on the telephone and I talk to somebody about Bitcoin Latina, I'm using hardware and software and electricity and an internet connection and time and expertise to earn coins myself.
Yeah.
So am I a miner? No, I'm a volunteer, but a miner is just another form of volunteer. Therefore, you can staff up an entire movement, an organization, a community, and give them as payment from the treasury coins, digital oranges, if you will, to work in your orange
digital
grove.
Oranges, yeah.
And they're earning them. It's not a security. So that is how you create a cryptocurrency. That is how you create a commodity coin. It is not a security, and it can be sold to the public. The problem is that there's no background checks like there are with Regulation A plus Title IV Tier 2. And like I say, that's the loophole that needs to be closed. The CFTC should either work with the SEC that's already established to do this, or set up a clone of what they're doing to do background checks on the issuers of commodities to protect the public. That's the whole.
Yeah.
So there you go. I just taught you guys now how to create digital currency and commodities legally and sell them to the public with almost no restrictions, except don't hype it, don't sell it. You better warn about risk. And if you have fraud in your background or that, buyer beware. Yeah. Do the due diligence. Since the CFTC isn't doing it yet, do the due diligence. Make sure there's no fraud. Make sure they're really who they say they are.
Wow.
And now you've created a legal currency.
So are you going to be creating a movement yourself? Are you going to be creating some kind of a working with the government or working with somebody that can create an entity that teaches this type of thing, or that regulates,
Yeah, no. You know what? I believe the SEC and CFTC, FINRA, and FinCEN are wonderful people that do great work. Okay. And I'm not going to go anywhere near stepping on their toes. Plus, it's a little bit of a business advantage right now that I know how to create things legally and others don't, and that I can go to the retail market right now and others cannot. Wow.
Very cool.
So, yeah. But I just gave all your readers a massive head start on this, and the other thing that we're doing is Bitcoin Latina is going to be an educational platform so that students can learn about the blockchain and earn coins if they pass tests by 80%.
Really?
And then sell them to the speculators.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And if they want to learn how to build decentralized applications, we'll teach them that. And we hope that they build the next Uber on our decentralized platform, our EOS clone, when it's built, so that it becomes a needed utility. And then we're going to use that to bank the unbanked, because I figured out how to do that. That's one of the reasons I was talking to Nick Szabo, is because that was his passion, is Latin American banking the unbanked. And I'm not saying Satoshi. That was Nick Szabo's passion.
Okay.
And so when I talked to him, he didn't get it. He's so closed in around Bitcoin, I think, that he's looking for zebras. And what I found was a horse. So I know how to bank the unbanked, and we're going to start in Latin America. And so that's what I'm doing, Bitcoin Latino. I got involved with Dan Larimer's son of EOS, Stan Larimer, habitual liar.
Really?
Habitual liar, demonstrably.
Okay.
And a guy named Michael Taggart, I'm going to share his real name online soon. And both of them are under investigation by the SEC, FBI, and Department of Justice for Rise Bank, which they were involved with, as well as their bench trade, which was essentially, my understanding, a clone of the software that they downloaded during the FBI raid and then renamed it during the investigation. These guys are fucking idiots, in my opinion. But these guys were on my team, and Michael Taggart, with trust from me that he could get a bunch of coins in advance, dumped them. And other people on my team, and that Jared Rice asshole, he dumped it. And Crypto Connie and all these con artists, they dumped the coin and they destroyed the value at BitShares.
Oh, my God.
And first of all, BitShares is just a joke, because Dan Larimer and Charles Hoskinson left to start as Ethereum's CEO in Charles's case, and Dan started Steemit and then started EOS. Well, Dan Larimer is the brilliant genius. Charles isn't that far off. And when they left BitShares, as far as I'm concerned, all the talent left the building. Look at this, one of the first decentralized exchanges, and it still has a market cap that like WanChain and others that just opened their doors have. Why? Because within the first week, the Asian market had taken over, the mining had, and they took over the vote, and Dan left. Michael and Stan stuck around because they're also ran failures themselves, in my opinion, and they're just sitting around sucking off the nipple that was created by the geniuses. But guess what? Asia controls about a third of it. Europe controls about a third of it, and the United States controls about a third of those coins, and so they can't get consensus on anything, and their site's impossible to use, which is why Coinbase and Binance win, and why BitShares is just a also-ran. It's a complete failure.
Yeah.
So we're hard forking that, and we're going to make it look and operate like Coinbase. So I'm doing a bunch of stuff. I'm
Really?
cloning Steemit. Yeah, I'm cloning BitShares and Steemit and EOS. Now, the reason why is because I believe that Ethereum is completely flawed, and so is Bitcoin. Here's why. When you have delegated proof of stake, which is what Dan does, flies. The reason why? Because it's cheap and fast. Why? Because nobody's competing with each other solving a puzzle. Okay? That doesn't scale. They have trusted witnesses, delegates, that validate a transaction, another one does, move on to the next one. The only electricity spent was validating those transactions, and that's it. They're gone. No time spent. And that's why I heard that they were testing at like 3 or 4 million transactions a second, which is the speed of Visa and MasterCard.
Wow.
Okay? But how about Bitcoin? Why is it such a failure? Why is Ethereum such a failure? All of those hard forks, failures. We did an Ethereum fork, and we shut it down when we realized what a failure it was going to be.
Really?
If you have people competing, the bigger it gets, the more competitors, the more complex, the longer it takes to solve, and the more losers there are that didn't solve. Then you've got something that's incredibly expensive to mine because you don't win every time like those delegates do.
Yeah.
If there are 1,000 people mining, one wins. The other 999 just spent money on hardware, electricity, time, everything else, and they lost. So they keep going until they win, and then they validate their expenses. But the harder and more complex that puzzle that they have to solve, the longer it takes, it backs it up. So right now I heard that if you had a Visa card, debit card rather, whatever, for Bitcoin, it would take on average 10 minutes standing at the counter waiting for it to be approved.
Wow.
Never going to happen.
That's not going to happen. No.
Never going to happen.
No.
Never. What do they do? Like 8,000 transactions a second.
Yeah.
So then you got Ethereum, and they're lightning. Woohoo! Lightning travels faster than 100,000 transactions a second, boys. It travels at 3 million transactions a second. You're fucked. Okay? So no one is going to use something that doesn't scale and that allows people to hack in and steal.
No.
Okay?
No.
So right now, I would say, and by the way, BitShares has never been hacked.
BitShares has never been hacked.
Never been hacked. That's
Wow.
why we chose it.
Okay.
But you know that you can do hard fork is a clone of these with no problem. So we're hard forking each, and we're calling it a new name, and they'll all work together, and that's what I do.
Amazing. Now tell me what are you doing with Steemit?
Well, we're going to do a hard fork of Steemit, and we're going to create our own news because I believe, my opinion, that Coin Idle and Coin Telegraph pump and dump coins all day long, like they did with the Bancor and Tim Draper, and you can invest with this guy kind of guy. They're bullshit. They won't print any of my stories.
Really?
No, not unless I pay them for advertising because
Really?
they say yeah. And the reason why is because they invited me as a guest writer, and I wrote this telltale about Tim Draper and that.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that was their butt buddy. So they're not going to do that. Okay? But I also heard that they get coins for pushing and pumping, and they're not disclosing that they own them. And then I've heard that they sell them into the ICO. So just like CNN, in my opinion, is the Soros-Clinton news network, and they fabricate and fabricate and fabricate, and Trump's approval ratings keep going up. He's my man. But I'll tell you what, we need honest news. And so I'm putting together something that'll have writers like a HuffPost that are SEC attorneys, CFTC attorneys, retired, or maybe not retired.
Yeah.
And we're going to warn people about scams. And we're also going to lift up companies that are real, that follow the rules. And we're going to write about those. And so I think in crypto, the news organizations have a very, very, very big responsibility to protect their readers from scams. And I don't believe that exists today in crypto. CoinDesk is the closest to it. But CoinDesk is Goldman Sachs, is Coinbase, and they just bought. They're my competitor. My competitor is Goldman Sachs Circle, Coinbase, CoinDesk.
Yeah. Wow. But I don't know a lot about that kind of stuff. But are you going to have just going to have video and stories and everything built into it?
Right. So the really brilliant thing about Steemit is they give out that Steemit, they airdrop it, however they give it out. We'll airdrop it. We'll get it out there where we can, give it to volunteers, give it to our delegates, etc. Sell into the market, and then people can use it to tip writers. You can tip them with Steemit.
Oh, okay.
And that's pretty cool because then people don't just upvote things, and that can be a robot.
Yeah.
You got to actually put money up. That's taken by the author.
Yeah.
That's legit.
That's nice.
So just imagine a cross between that and Huffington Post.
Beautiful.
Except not liberal media, Huffington Post.
Yeah.
The idea that you bring in great writers, Huffington Post.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. And then DTube, DTube is part of Steemit. Am I correct on that? Or,
DTube?
Yeah,
maybe.
D.tube. I think that's their YouTube version.
Actually focused. Yeah, good for them. We'll copy that too.
Okay, right on.
Sounds cool.
Okay, let me be part of that, man. I want to be part of that.
Oh, sure. I'd love you to be part of that.
Right on.
You know, you could actually. I put up a thing yesterday on LinkedIn saying that we're looking for essentially a founding team for that news organization, and I'm looking for great writers and bloggers like yourself, and we want you guys to earn coins for helping us get that going.
Beautiful.
So if you're a writer or a blogger and you want to be in on the early stage, you want pre-ICO, how about development stage?
Yeah.
That's a good place.
Oh, yeah.
You get the cheapest coins there.
Wow. Okay. Well, count the Wonder Dog in, man.
Give them out over... and one more thing. Just so you know, I'm a major coin holder in all of these, of course. Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah.
You know, I want to retire someday and spend every hour with my wife.
Heck yeah,
right?
man. Yeah.
And grow your food. So I can't sell but 2.5% of my coins the first year, and the second year, and the third year, and the fourth year. I have to earn them over 4 years, even though I've been at this already for 4 years.
Yeah.
I cannot sell them. That means I can't pump and dump.
Good.
I'm here long term. And the only exception will be to me being able to sell those coins is if a hedge fund or someone like that wants to buy a bunch of my coins, because I got a lot of them, prior to the 4 years, they can, but they have the same restrictions of 4 years.
After they buy them.
On the clock.
Okay.
After they buy them. Okay.
So the clock starts after they buy them?
No, the clock started when I got
okay.
I signed up.
Okay, so if they come in at 2 years, they have 2 years. Okay. Got it.
What's left on the contract.
Got it.
And I just passed out, ultimately it'll be 70 contracts to my volunteers that they can sell no more than 1% of their coins per month the first year. And the second year, they can sell 2% of their coins, then 3%, and then all that's left is 28%, and so it's back to about 2 and some change percent. What this does is it prevents what happened with Michael Taggart and all those motherfuckers that destroyed the value of my last coin. It had like a $200 million value, and when I caught them stealing and cheating and market manipulating, they started trading the coin back and forth to each other for a penny or less and took me down to $2 million. They destroyed the value, and believe me, they've been reported.
Yeah.
Okay? So I don't want that to ever happen again, because for them to take out a couple $100,000 worth of coins, which, by the way, I sold like $385,000 worth of my coins and put it in a trust that would get the attorneys paid and would buy volunteer coins so that the volunteers could get some money. Well, the volunteers, the miners and that really didn't sell. I ended up buying these coins from these assholes without knowing it. Okay? So I fired them. So then they did this. So then I shut down all trading pairs on BitShares, and I told everybody to deposit to the Bitcoin Latina account, and now they're going to get new BTCL coins when they come out now. Okay? They're going to get dollar amount, what they paid, in the new coin at a penny, which is the new price.
Yeah.
And we have 100 times more coins now, so that anybody that cheated me is going to get washed out. And is that legal? Was I manipulating and controlling? Yes, I was. And yeah, it may have been illegal, but it was in the interest of protecting investors from real fraud and damage. And I hope that the SEC is okay and understands that. But frankly, for the dollar amount, if I have to, I'll just do a rescission and pay everybody cash.
Wow. Look at that.
There are motherfuckers out there. This is the most toxic space I've ever worked in my life. You got to do your due diligence.
Anywhere there's money, anywhere there's a lot of money to be made, of course, there's going to be people that are going to try to come in and get it for nothing. You know, so amazing.
Money for nothing, chicks for free,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of chicks in this space. What's going on with that, man? I just read something yesterday. It's like 4% of people involved in cryptocurrency are women, and
Maybe,
you know,
maybe they don't like being around scumbags.
Oh, that's probably a good assessment. Yeah.
Scammers and cheaters and liars. You know, I haven't met too many girls that I ever dated in my life that were appreciative of being lied to or cheated on.
No, they don't.
So here's the real scam. It's not just in crypto, it's in technology completely. Okay? It's the whole thing. I believe that we're going to see a surge in female activity as this space becomes regulated and safe. I think that women have a greater apprehension to danger than men do. I could be wrong. I'm not sexist.
Well, you know, that's true. Yeah.
But like, she's strong.
Yeah.
And you know, and we always carry guns.
Look at that.
Everywhere we go.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah, you bet your ass. So I'm not saying women aren't strong. I'm saying that women are smart. And that if you look at the results of forget coins, if you look at traditional businesses, those that are run by women, hands down, do better than men. Not even close.
Really?
Because they're meticulous. They are detail-oriented. Okay? So as the space becomes regulated and safe, I believe that women will enter the space and do better than men. That's my belief.
Okay, so you believe that they just feel like there's too much of the guys just running around going willy-nilly thinking that this is just a money-making thing, and the women are like, well, hold on, hold on a second.
Go into the BitShares Telegram group, okay? Yeah. Everybody's putting up dick pics and asses shaking and, you know, porno pictures. And it's a fucking frat boy, you know, piece of shit organization if it does that. What woman wants to walk into a drunken frat party where everyone's swinging their dick around? Yeah, not many. No. What man wants to walk into that? You know, now look, a lot of this space is run by 19 to 24-year-old children. You know, men don't really become men until they're 29. Yeah. Until then, they're all kind of stupid.
Yeah, a lot of kids running this stuff
because they're thinking with their dick.
That will get a lot of people in trouble. Yeah, I got to think a little further ahead. Yeah, a little further ahead, man. Okay, so you think Nick is a
Oh, you want to know some more about that? It's so funny, you know. Whenever I mention Nick in a post, it gets over 10,000 views.
Because I just read something. Let me see if I can pull it up. I may not be able to. Once oh shoot. Hold on. Oh, 3.
Well, I'll give you some information. Okay. Nick Szabo wrote something called BitGold 1 month before Bitcoin white paper came out. BitGold white paper came out, and he said, "Anybody want to help me code this up?" quote unquote. And then it went dark. Nobody heard about BitGold ever again. But it was remarkably similar to Bitcoin. A month later, we get the Bitcoin white paper. And it doesn't have Nick's name anywhere near it. It has nobody's name. It wasn't Hal Finney because, you know, well, it just wasn't. Although Hal lived blocks away from a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto. But there are a few things. Nick wrote a document that I think they have at the Bitcoin.org archive where he said, isn't this neat? This address has my initials. And instead of having Satoshi Nakamoto, which would be SN, it was NS, Nick Szabo. Whoops, did he slip?
I don't know.
I've also heard Japan say those backwards, and so then it would be Satoshi Nakamoto again. Who knows on that one? But he never turned in his emails to the Bitcoin Latina Foundation that he supposedly got from Satoshi. Never turned them in. And I think that what is the most... And by the way, I think he also started Ethereum because he invented smart contracts when Vitalik was 9. And Vitalik was actually one of the programmers at Bitcoin, earning it when it was worth like a penny. And he was earning like $4.50 a day worth of it or something. And he was probably seen by Nick, if it is Nick, as a brilliant programmer. And so then they took what they had fixed there or figured out there and then put Nick's invention of smart contracts into it, and what do you get? You get Ethereum. So he's working behind the scenes, as far as I can tell. I think Ethereum is Nick's. I think it's Nick's and Vitalik's, but I think it was Nick's genius for smart contracts, 100% and irrefutable. Vitalik was 9. He'd never heard of Bitcoin or any of the smart contract stuff. So I think that when you put together the big gold thing and the smart contract thing, he's probably Ethereum too. But here's the thing, okay? The handwriting experts from New York, that master's class in forensic handwriting analysis, they looked at every post that's ever been made by Satoshi before he went dark and compared it to every writing, because Nick's quite a prolific writer. He was, a professor, I think, at Georgetown and all the rest. And there are, like, I'm old enough that I put 2 spaces after a sentence. So does Satoshi, and so does Nick. Okay? But there are 14 different things that Nick does specifically, according to this master's class, that are found in the white paper and in the writings of Satoshi Nakamoto. And if you look at the timestamp of where it would be someone likely on the East Coast, okay, just for the time that this guy was writing and putting this stuff out, the time of night and day. And if you had a day job, you'd be writing at night and you'd be da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. So these guys put up so much, and I don't know if you Google forensic handwriting, Satoshi, Nick Szabo, if you'll come up with the articles that I read, but that'd probably be your best place to start if anyone's curious.
Okay.
My opinion is that, and he was really upset. I had him as an advisor. I paid him $1,000 an hour to be on the phone with me.
Wow.
And yeah, man, you get what you pay for. His team was going to be $300 an hour, but I told him that if I could just talk to him alone on the phone, then I'd pay $1,000. And so we got on the phone. We started talking about banking the unbanked and this and that. And I told him that it's not going to happen with Bitcoin and this and that. And we argued it back and forth. I think that ultimately he understood my logic and why my system works. And Bitcoin never will. It can't be a standard value that's accepted by merchants because it needs to be flatline to be taken seriously by a merchant. It can't be speculative, okay? But the moment it's not speculative, the traders will leave. And it'll dump, and then it'll be speculative again because it'll be a bargain then or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but there's other reasons too. Ultimately, he was really kind of bummed at first that I was calling it Bitcoin Latina, even though we were doing an Ethereum at that point hard fork and now EOS, and he didn't understand why. And I said, because I am fixing all the problems that went wrong with Satoshi's idea of banking the unbanked. And I can do it this way, but it's in the spirit of Bitcoin. Okay? And he asked, would I please change the name? He sounded like a proud parent.
Yeah. All right.
Why the hell would he what I call it?
Huh.
You're right. And so I said, I'll tell you what, Nick, there's great pushback by the community. I'll change the name, but at that point, everyone will know my new name, won't they? So that'll be fine. And we laughed, and that was the end of that conversation. But why was he so upset that I was using the name Bitcoin if it wasn't his mom? I think he's its mom. I think he gave birth to it. And I know he gave birth to smart contracts. Yeah. And I know Nick Szabo would have known if he was Satoshi Vitalik, because Vitalik worked on Bitcoin before he started Ethereum, but he interwove Nick's smart contracts. And so this is all just deductive reasoning, and I could be 100% wrong, and I often am, okay? But logic moves me. I'm black or white. I'm never gray.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's fascinating, man. When was the last time you talked to him?
Oh, I don't know. I think I asked him for a refund on the balance because I wasn't getting any value out of him. I felt I was teaching more than he was teaching me, and he refused to give me a refund. And I said, wow, you really must be the master of Bitcoin because only Bitcoin people seem... Yeah, I heard this joke. It's not stealing, it's Bitcoin. And there you go.
It's not stealing, it's Bitcoin.
Yeah, right. And the guy that told me that thought it was hilarious too. And I was like, you suck. You know? You suck. So no, Nick didn't give me a refund on the last $4,000. And 2 of those meetings, I called him and was like, hey, Nick, sorry to take your hour. I'll pay you for the hour, but I don't have time to talk to you. You know, he knows what he knows, and he doesn't know what he doesn't know. And for what we needed, he didn't know what we needed to know. And that was banking the unbanked.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So where is this cat right now? Where is he?
Nick Szabo, he's
Yeah.
in California. He's in San Francisco, and he has a private consulting firm there.
Oh, does he? Okay. Is he very public? Is he?
And I'm not saying Nick's a bad guy.
No.
No, God, no. He's a public. No, I had, the first email to him,
Yeah.
I had to research, first of all, what happened to Nick Szabo. And they said that he had basically gone dark to create what this guy thought was Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
And that this was the name of his new company. So I looked up his company, and I found the .org or .com or whatever, and I went there, and there was nothing on the page except like an email to contact them. So I emailed them, and Sarah, his secretary, wrote back and was like, "What do you want?" And so it took me a few back and forths before I was like, "Hey, man, I want to work with your team."
Yeah.
And I didn't say Nick, right? And so finally they came back, and there was like, "Nick will talk to you at this time." And then we got on the phone with him. First of all, Nick's a very bright guy. He
must
invented
be
smart contracts.
Yeah.
He's a very smart guy. He invented BitGold. He's a very smart guy. I think he invented Bitcoin. He's a very smart guy. I'm not putting him down at all. I'm just saying that I didn't get any value out of it.
Okay.
That's not the same as him not being fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I get it. All right.
And a total success. Just because Bitcoin's a failure, but it's a failure like Netscape, or Mosaic. Mosaic today, you wouldn't put it up against Google Chrome.
No.
Right?
No.
And remember when they said about Internet Explorer was the best browser in the world? Download a better browser.
Yeah.
Right?
To download a better browser. Yeah.
It's good for it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So,
that's pretty funny.
Because it comes installed on your piece of crap in PC, and and it's pre-installed, and so download a better browser. But Netscape was brilliant. Mosaic was brilliant. Mark Anderson was brilliant. But that was number one. Tribe.net was great until Friendster came along, until MySpace came along, until Facebook came along. Bitcoin was great until Ethereum came along, until Dan Larimer's EOS came along and made them look like also-rans, which is what they are in my opinion. Now it's just speculative bullshit.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at the top 5 with the most traded coins right now, and I don't
Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, EOS, and what is Cardano still up there?
Well, the top 5 right now is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple,
sorry.
Bitcoin Cash, and EOS. Litecoin's number 6.
Of all the coins that are on there, likely Stellar is the best one.
Stellar number 7.
Yeah, but it should be number 1.
Okay.
Jed McCaleb is a fucking genius. He started Mt. Gox before anybody heard of Bitcoin, and then he sold it to Karpalis, who there's even a video of him saying he's ruining it. Jed saying this.
Wow.
So Jed didn't do anything start it. Karpalis is the one that fucked it all up, okay? And Jed said so. Didn't use my language. Jed McCaleb is a sweetheart. I heard he still drives an 85 Corolla, and he's worth billions.
Yeah.
That's an awesome dude. No Lambos.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, of course.
So Jed then started Ripple. Okay? And then he fell apart with them, and then he started Stellar. And Stellar, although not as fast as EOS, it does only the one thing it's supposed to do, which is bank transactions, and he's setting up in Asia. We would love to push it through Latin America for him, frankly. He's a brilliant genius, and he's humble, and he doesn't curse like a sailor or anything. He's just a pleasant guy to be around, and he doesn't ever seem angry.
Okay, cool.
So I really love that guy. Ripple has a real company behind it pushing use and adoption that is a for-profit entity.
Yeah.
Stellar has Lightyear, and Britt Young is absolutely brilliant as a businessman. He was a Peter Thiel guy before he was with Jed and doing Stellar and Lightyear.
Okay.
So what do you need in this space? You need a real company, not some weird foundation.
Okay.
You cannot have done an illegal ICO. Jed didn't. He gave his out as an airdrop. That's it. People got it if they got it. And then the price goes down when during those drops, then it came back up. So he never did an illegal ICO. He self-funded his organization. and he has a side company that's pushing use and adoption for profit.
Look at that.
Standing ovation.
All right.
Standing ovation.
Okay.
He got it right. He's the only one that got it right.
That's cool.
It. Ripple has a team that did an illegal ICO, but
Really?
they have such heavyweights on it that they were able to pay. I heard they were able to pay a couple $100,000 and put that one to bed. They are working with massive banks, and eventually it's going to bite, and these very, very slow wade into the water people will bite, and Ripple will be there for it.
Yeah.
Both of those are jet.
Yeah. What caused that to go? What caused?
I do have a problem with EOS, though.
What's that?
I do have a problem with EOS, though.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Because according to their, not with their software.
Okay.
EOS did a $4 billion ICO,
yeah,
an ongoing ICO.
Crazy.
And now, but all they promised was that they would build a blockchain, and they would let other people like Bitcoin Latina hard fork it if they would do an airdrop for the support of the community. And anyone who owned it June 1st would get that airdrop. Anybody after June 1st snapshot will not. Then why is it still trading? Why is that ERC20 coin still trading? You don't get anything for it. It's literally worthless. It was worth something up to June 1st. After the June 1st snapshot, there's no snapshot. Now, will they? They have a mainnet. Now people are actually trying to come in and build it. Maybe that'll be the value behind it. But they also said in their white paper that the reason they were doing a 1-year ICO was so that it couldn't be owned by whales. And yet, one person I heard owns like 25% of it. I heard that 20 people own 47% of it, I heard. And I heard that under 100 people own 74% of it. And since it is, and since the Constitution, which now they're having to rewrite because of this kind of shit, because these guys then actually control it all, and because they were the EOS coin holders on June 1st, they're going to get 74% of all airdrops.
Oh, my God.
That doesn't sound like democratic distribution. That sounds like a scam.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed with their Constitution. I'm disappointed with majority owning some, almost all of it. I'm disappointed that the coin continued to trade after June 1st for any value whatsoever. And so technology, brilliant. Block one. So sure about you guys.
All right.
Educate. By the way, raised $4 billion and they didn't create an airdrop facility. So if you were a snapshot owner, how do you get your airdrop? Or if you're Bitcoin Latina and I want to give those people an airdrop, how? I have to market and find them and go to their Telegram and try and get them to be aware of it. That's bullshit. They took in $4 billion and they didn't create an airdrop facility when that was like the basis of why you would own it.
Yeah.
There is such a space. But if you're going to buy a coin in this space, I'm not going to pump mine. I'll pump Stellar.
Yeah.
Jed McCaleb and Britt Young, smartest people in the space. They did it right.
All right. Do me a favor. Educate me. Just
lumens. No lumens.
No lumens. All right.
In other words, I'm not pumping.
No. Yeah. No. Got it. Educate me on Tether. What's the deal with Tether?
You mean the illegal Russian fraud?
Please, educate me on that.
Oh, you mean the one that might have just front-ended Bitcoin and run it up to 20,000 and then short it and run it down and then print up fake money and run it up and then short it and then run it down? You mean those guys?
Yeah.
You mean those guys were going to be audited but didn't, and then they got some banks to do it that were in Russia that said it was okay when the others said, I'm walking away from this mess? What can I say?
I guess you got nothing to say about it. I don't know.
I have nothing to say about that one.
Holy crap.
But you know who I think should enter this space?
I
think MasterCard should enter this space. They know how to transfer money. They're legitimate. They're audited. And MasterCoin, because I'm not really a fan of Visa, could come in and create a tether, and everyone would know it's really backed by a dollar. Okay?
Why? No. Now, why did so many people? Why are so many people trusting it?
Yeah.
Oh, crap. I think I lost you.
Why are so many people, did you say, risking it?
Sorry, John. I missed like
I'm
5
here.
seconds of you. Okay. Yeah. Why are so many people? Why did so many people get jump onto this? And why? How is it mimicking the dollar? Or what's going on there? No, it's at it's at a dollar. So how does it stay level with the dollar?
Okay, I'm going to take this off because it looks like my good old iPods are dying.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So now I'm talking through my iMac.
Yeah. Okay.
So your question again?
So, I don't know much about Tether. Obviously, not as much as you do. But how does it stay level with the American dollar? How does it stay wherever the dollar is? That's where it is.
Because they told everybody it's worth $1. They told the people that it's actually backed by dollars. Okay, that's what they say.
Yeah.
But they won't be. So, how do we know? But they were the first ones. I'll give them this. They were fucking smart. They went to all the exchanges and said, what if someone doesn't want to be in crypto? What if they want to be out of the market for a minute? You need to have something people trust. And so they created Tether. And perhaps in the beginning, or perhaps now, it hasn't been audited. Who knows? It was.
Yeah.
But they got into every exchange and they became the name everyone knows. And why do we trust the United States dollar? It's almost $20 trillion in debt, and most likely it's owned by a foreign entity, the Rothschilds, that called it the Federal Reserve because they couldn't get the Bank of Bill passed or whatever, or Bank of Brian or whatever. So, they called it Federal Reserve. But guess what? It's as federal as Federal Express. It's not run by the government, and that's why the government can't audit it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because we do. We just do.
Yeah.
We're used to it. It's what we're used to. They say it'll buy us something, and it does, and it works, and so why not? And right now, Tether works. The people that are being conned are not the people that keep their money in Tether and then buy crypto and then put it in Tether and buy crypto. And Tether is crypto, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Look, there's nothing else. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
When you have 0 options, you take the one. But they're not being harmed. The people that are potentially harmed, and I think this is everyone's concern, is do they front end or front? What's it called? Not front end. Is it front end? Front load? Anyway, it's where you. I haven't had any sleep. It's where you buy coins like Dan Dorfman used to do with stock back in the day on CNBC.
Okay.
He'd get all of his buddies into a stock. He'd show up on CNBC around lunchtime. He'd pump a stock or he'd short or tell people to short a stock. And then as they did, he'd get out. And he got fired for that.
Oh.
He might have even been fined.
Now you should be.
Well, right. So it's possible the stories, I don't know the guys at Tether. I've never talked to them. Maybe this is totally bullshit. But the story is that they go in and they buy, and it runs up and on their buying, but they're buying with fake coins. They're buying with, they literally counterfeit coins is the story, and buy Bitcoin with it. And look, man, forget about running it up and down. If all you did was print counterfeit Tether, because it's not audited, and put it on exchanges and buy coins with it and then sell them.
Wow.
Now you've got real. Yeah, wow. That's why we need a MasterCard to come in here and clean this shit up.
Huh. Now,
and it has to be someone like that because the market's too big. If right now I said I want to create a Tether, I heard Goldman went into or Circle or one of the two joined with an Asian bank that put in 30 or 40 million. Why 30 or 40 million? Well, they must have looked at one of their exchanges they own, like Kraken or Poloniex or Coinbase, and said, that's the average dollar volume per week in a busy week. So we need at least that much. And guess what's going to end up happening is people are going to drop Tether and they're going to start taking that because it's backed by Goldman Circle. You'll trust it.
Yeah. Okay. Is the value of Tether going to go down?
Well, but why would it if it's backed by $1?
Yeah. So
would Tether go down? No, people just stop using it.
They just stop using it. Okay. All right. That kind of was,
and those guys better start giving you your money. They better start turning it back over to you. That's when we'll find out if it's a scam, is when everyone turns in their Tether for the new master card, if that ever happened, or the Golden Circle coin, that's going to be the replacement. And when that happens, we'll find out if there was really a dollar behind each tether, because there either will be or there won't.
Mm. So that's a Russian company?
They better get audited. And if they don't, then there's something real fishy.
Wow. Amazing. And you said that's a Russian company?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All
It's
right.
probably a foundation, right?
A foundation.
You gotta wonder, right? Because what profit do they make? Where's their profit in that model?
Yeah, that's it kind of confuses me on that. I didn't come from a financial background, so this stuff is really still new to me, and learning all about the regulations and things like that. It's kind of fascinating, but to know how some of this stuff works, the cogs and the wheels and the people involved with it, and how it's changing the landscape of everything right now, it seems. So very fascinating, man.
Hey, can I tell you some of? Can I tell you positive news?
Yes, please.
Because I'm not really all that. I'm negative when you're asking me about cons and scams.
Yeah.
I get a scowl on my face, and I get angry, and I perspire, and I want to shoot somebody.
I saw a vein pop out in your forehead.
But let's talk about what's positive and amazing.
Okay.
What's positive and amazing is the idea that you could find a family office preservation of wealth type investment, like, for instance, real estate, which is number one with a bullet.
Yeah.
Believe me. Number two is energy. So I'll give you two examples. Praying donkeys in a New Mexico desert. They just sit there and pump up and down and up and down and up and down, and they create 2 or 3 barrels of oil a day, but you own 2,000 of them.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty good business right there. And a geological survey will tell you how long it's going to last. And then your only worry is whether or not there will be enough demand in the world for oil to keep the price going higher, or at least stable to where you got in. How do you buy that? Let's say it's producing $10 million a year in profit, and it's going to do this, they think, for 30 years. Then you've got a value. But a matriarch or patriarch passes away, and the children don't really want those praying donkeys. They just want cash. So they're willing to sell the whole thing right now for 1/3 of the expected value over 30 years, right now, for $100 million. How do we buy it? Well, we go to a bank and we borrow $50 million by putting $50 million down, and we net it out over 5 years, well, with interest probably 7, before it's going to have an ROI and then just start producing profit. So what do you do with that? Well, I just need $50 million. So I go to 50,000 of my friends in crypto, and I ask them all for $1,000 as an investment, because this is an equity. This is not a cryptocurrency commodity. So they each give me $1,000, and we put $50 million down, and we own it now. And over 7 years, the oil will pay back the bank. Now, it's going to start creating taxable income after those 7 years are up. A family office has a little con that they can run legally, which is that they borrow all that money again against and let it pay off again, because it's a loan, and loans aren't taxable.
Oh.
Did you follow me on that?
Yeah.
So they take a loan and let it get paid off, and then before it starts producing taxable revenue, they take another loan and let it get paid off, and they never pay taxes.
Amazing.
Lifestyles of the rich. Well, that's one thing they could do, or they could take a loan against it all and buy the praying donkeys in the field next door.
Oh.
Etc. 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 And now you have something with true intrinsic value, wealth preservation, growth. Real estate. I want to buy a $200 million skyrise in Manhattan that's been rented out for 80 years, and someone literally has to die before a tenant leaves. And there's a wait line. You know that that's a good investment. You know it's going to pay itself off. Let's say it's going to pay itself off over 12 years. Well, you put down half. Where do I get $100 million? I ask 50,000 or 25,000 of my friends to put up 4,000 or 2,000 or 100,000 to put up 1,000. And the same thing with the praying donkeys. And once it's about to pay itself off and create rental income that's taxable, I take a loan against it and let it pay it off, distribute it like dividends and pay no taxes because it's a loan, or I buy the building next door and I leverage it again. and again and again and again. And now suddenly some woman in Croatia and some guy in Mexico City and some guy in New York can all have fractional ownership. Or maybe a family office doesn't really want to give up control, but they're wanting some cash, so they're willing to sell a small amount of it to these digital traders of it that'll have no say in matters, but will collect their dividend or own this increasingly valuable digital commodity or equity. So that's it, man. That's the future. The future is real companies with history of revenue and earnings, and it's not this 20-year-old kid in the basement that comes up with an idea, writes a white paper, puts a whole shitload into marketing it, and then cons everybody out of their money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
So
I'm guessing you're probably going to have to wrap this up here because we've been going for a while.
We have. This is one of my longest shows I've done, but I mean, it's been intriguing and I love it. I mean, this has been great.
No shit now.
Yeah. You are definitely a wealth of information, and I think that everyone that listens to this is definitely going to benefit to sidestep some of the landmines that are out there in this crypto minefield. John, I really appreciate your time coming on here. I know that you are a very busy man, and I appreciate hanging out with you, man. Good time.
Awesome. Let me know when it's online, and I'll share it with my people on LinkedIn.
Please do. I'm going to try to get this up before the day's end. All right.
Awesome. You know, it's really, like I said, it's my pleasure to share this information.
Okay.
But I mean, I was, and at one point I was charging a Bitcoin for, an hour or two of my time to teach this.
Yeah.
But right now, that is the worst use of my time. Yeah. I'm building an organization and a movement and a community, and my wife needs my time, and so I will never give anything, even if they paid me $20,000 and they wanted to sit down and pick my brain for a week or two, I won't do it. Yeah. Your listeners just got $500,000 worth of information on how to do things legally, and I hope that they do.
I do too. I do too, John.
This is where they can find it.
Yeah, right on. Well, like I said, man, you're doing some great work, man. Appreciate the time. All right, good talk.